So for today's topic is acceleration, children. And what do you mean by acceleration? What do you mean by accelerated body? Now let me explain you, children. Acceleration arises only when objects are in motion. And the second thing, objects should be in motion, but what kind of motion? A non-uniform kind of motion. Non-uniform kind of motion means when objects change their velocity, at that time we can think only about acceleration. One more time, listen carefully, children. What I'm saying, acceleration comes into picture only when objects change their velocity, only when objects change their speeds. What do you mean by this statement? That when object changes their velocity. For example, if I say object is in motion, moving, but with the same speed, he or she is moving with the steady speed. So what do you mean by at that time? What is acceleration? So we will say acceleration is zero. And we are going to discuss acceleration is not there. But our topic is that we have to find out what do you mean by acceleration and what kind of motion is accelerated motion. Now come to here at this definition, children. Something is accelerating if its velocity change. If velocity change, if velocity change, students, acceleration is calculated by this equation. Acceleration or average acceleration is given by change in velocity. You note down this equation in your notebook, children, divided by time taken. Change in velocity again, and in mathematical form you can write a acceleration is written by a symbol small a, which is equal to change in velocity. So change in velocity is written as v minus u by t. Now what is v? Actually, this change in velocity you can also write in this form: final velocity. We always write final velocity minus initial velocity. Initial velocity divided by some time taken. That is called the acceleration. Final velocity is always written by the letter small v. Final velocity is written by the letter small v. Initial velocity is taken by the letter small u. So v minus u divided by time taken. How much time is taken by the object to change that velocity? So change in velocity divided by time taken is called acceleration, and that kind of motion is called accelerated motion. Now, one example you can see here on the right hand side in this book, there is a table. There is a table. If you see this table, observe carefully, time is there, velocity is there. When time is 0 second, car's velocity is 0, it means that the car was at rest position. After 1 second, car has changed its velocity, and you can see how much is the velocity, 3 meter per second. Another 1 second means after 2 seconds, car has velocity of 6 meter per second. And similarly for the third second, and at the end of 4 seconds, we have the car has speed velocity of 12 meter per second. Is this kind of motion that this table, this table, children, is this showing an accelerated motion? Please check, children, is this accelerated motion? How we can say that this is an accelerated motion or not? Is there any change in velocity, children? Do you find any change in velocity? Please tell me, yes or no. Is there any change in velocity in this table? Tell me, children.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, velocity is changing. Observe this diagram, means not diagram, but this table, and you find velocity changing. Initially, the car was at rest position. After 1 second, speed is 3 meter, then the speed is 6 meter. It means every single time the speed is increasing by a factor of 3 meter per second. After every 1 second, speed is increasing by a factor of 3 meter per second. Now, from this part, what is acceleration of this car? From this table, can you calculate, children, what is acceleration? Let me mark here. This is an equation for acceleration. Whenever you find questions related to acceleration, children, you have to use this equation. Final velocity. In the table, we have a time interval of up to 4 seconds. So final velocity is 12 meter second. I will write 12 here. Minus initial velocity. Object started from the velocity 0 meter second when the time was t equal to 0 second. I will put initial velocity 0 divided by time taken. What is the time taken to reach from 0 meter per second to 12 meter per second, this speed? The time taken is 4 minus 0, that equal to 4 seconds. Divide, actually, that the along the numerator we have velocity term whose unit is meter per second. In the denominator, I have time whose unit is seconds. Now 12 divided by 4 is 3, and then you will get 3. And what about the unit? 3 meter second square. You can write this way, and that is equal to 3 ms minus 2. You can write, so whatever we want to say, 3 meter per second square is an acceleration of that car. Now, after finding the acceleration of this car, children, now this acceleration, because it is a vector quantity, acceleration is given by velocity divided by time taken. And we know the velocity is already a vector quantity. So acceleration is also a vector quantity. So it can be positive, it can be negative. If it is positive or negative, so it means it can be zero also. In what situation acceleration can be zero, children? There is one situation when acceleration can be zero. They said if I say object is, let me write, object is moving with constant speed. With constant speed. Constant speed means that the object is not changing its velocity. Object is moving in one particular direction and not changing its speed. Suppose and the object is moving with a speed of 5 meter per second. And I have to find acceleration. So again, the equation is same, A equal to V minus U by T. Final velocity. Object is moving with the same velocity 5. Initial velocity is same. There is no change. And divided by time taken, suppose time is whatever time we can take, suppose 2 seconds. Okay, we are observing the motion for the 2 seconds. 5 minus 5 divided by 2, 0 by 2, acceleration equal to 0. So please remember this situation also, that acceleration can be 0. It can be negative. Negative acceleration is possible when motion is accelerated, but if driver suddenly apply a brake. If driver suddenly apply a brake, means if you press the brake pedal, and then at that time, what happens, children? Speed or velocity start decreasing. If you press, you know how to ride. You ride a car, you drive a car, you ride a cycle, your children, and you are aware about that. When we apply a brake, then motions or velocity start decreasing. In that situation, motion or acceleration can be, retardation can be there. Now let me show you some 2 more points, then we will end our class, children, and observe on this point, these 2 points here. Plus 3 meter per second square. What do you mean by this? Means velocity increasing, and but what factor? 3 meter per second every second. Again, here from this table, this is example from the table. 3 meter per second every second, speed or velocity is changing by a factor of 3 meter per second. So whenever you find a sign, positive sign with the acceleration, so it is called accelerated motion, means speed is increasing. You can see here the speed is increasing or velocity increasing. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, like that, speed or velocity is increasing. But if you find somewhere the negative sign, minus 3 meter per second square, what do you mean by that statement? -3 will be possible if it start like this, retarding, velocity start decreasing, and velocity, children, it will decrease when you apply a brake. Otherwise it won't decrease. If you apply a brake, or maybe that the motion, if you stop the engine of a car, and then after some time it stop down. So acceleration can be negative, acceleration can be positive. Negative acceleration is called retardation. So you will also find this verb in this chapter many times, retardation. And de-acceleration, children, deceleration, de-acceleration, whatever you say, retardation. So that is for the day, children. And there are, we have running with the shortage of time, children, but at home I want to give you some homework. You try these questions from question number 1 to question number 9, children. This is your homework. And in tomorrow's class we will start our next topic. And if you have doubt in any questions from 1 to 9, children, so we can discuss that questions also.